Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of All Force e-learning program. Today we shall discuss about the process of giving charge to a body, electrification. Today we'll talk about electrification. Before going to this, let us have a review of what we have studied in the earlier episode. I was telling you, first charge, I was defining charge. Charge is the intrinsic property of fundamental particles like electrons and protons, right, which accompany them wherever they exist. Now, by virtue of this property, they interact with similar charged particles. So charge is the intrinsic property. And I was giving you the units for charge: CGS unit, ESU, stat coulomb, and SI unit is coulombs, electromagnetic unit is amp coulomb. Right? And charge, I was giving the basic properties of charge. First one, charge is a scalar, charge is additive, charge is transferable, charge is always associated with mass, charge is conserved, charge is invariant, and charge is quantized. Very important. So these are the basic properties of charge. Now coming to the next part, electrification. The process of giving charge to a body is called electrification. It is not creating charge on a body. You can never create a charge. Charge can neither be created nor destroyed. We have learned yesterday, charge is conserved. You cannot create charge. You can transfer charge. You can give charge. Now, electrification is possible. Charging of a body is possible by two ways. Either by transferring electrons or by redistribution, reallocation of electrons. By these two means, charging take place. Charging of a body will take place. Now, there are totally 7 methods of charging a body. There are 7 methods, right? Now, in this, actually, how does this take place? So, I was telling you, we know according to the modern theory, all matter is made up of atoms. Atoms possess electrons and protons. So I was telling you, protons are imprisoned, embedded inside the nucleus along with neutrons. They are imprisoned inside the nucleus along with neutrons, and they are binded by a strong force called nuclear force. So they cannot come out of the atom. They cannot migrate from one atom to another atom or one body to another body. So protons cannot transfer, but the electrons revolving around the nucleus in orbits, they can transfer from one atom to another atom or one body to another body. So charging takes place only by the transfer of electrons or redistribution of electrons, right? So the first method of electrification is charging by friction. Charging by friction. Now this is the first method of charging a body. Now how it is done? Consider two bodies, any two bodies, but mind that one of it is an insulator. Now let me tell you what is an insulator. Actually, electrically, all matter is classified into 3 types: conductors, semiconductors, insulators. Conductors are those substances which possess innumerable number of free electrons, abundant of free electrons at room temperature. So they possess many free electrons, and these electrons can easily pass through these conductors from one place to another place. So conductors are the substances where electrons can easily pass through them. Now insulators, these substances possess very meager number of free electrons at room temperature, and they cause high opposition to the flow of electrons. So electrons cannot easily pass through them in insulators. And semiconductors, they are intermediate, in between. So the number of free electrons in them are neither more nor less, and the opposition is also in between the insulators and conductors. So conductors readily possess many free electrons at room temperature. They can easily transfer them, and they easily transfer to them. And insulators, they oppose. So charging by friction, right? In this process, consider two bodies. Take any two bodies, let's say A and B, of which at least one must be an insulator, right? Put them in contact, and move relatively, rub. So when you rub, Due to friction, there is a meager amount of heat being produced. Because of this heat energy, electrons are removed from one body and they are added to another body. So electrons migrate from one body to another body like this. Transfer of electrons take place. So one body loses electrons, other body gains electrons. The body which loses electrons attains positive charge. So A attains positive charge. The body which gains electrons attains negative charge. So this will attain negative charge. So this is positive and this is negative. Right? Mind that, right? We started with zero charge. You see, charge is conserved here. We started with no charge. We have to consider two neutral bodies, zero charge. But after being charged, they attain two equal and opposite charge. If this gets a charge plus Q and this gets a charge, it will get a charge minus Q. The total charge is again zero. The net charge is again zero. Charge is conserved. Charge is always conserved in any reaction taking place in the universe. Whether it is a nuclear reaction, it's a chemical reaction, any reaction. In any reaction, charge is conserved. So the total charge is again zero. So now the electrons are transferred from one body to another body. One body loses electrons, other body gains electrons. So by this method of charging, you get two equal and opposite charges, plus Q and minus Q. Right? Whenever two bodies are charged by friction, always charged by friction, then equal amount of charge is obtained, but opposite in sign. Again, the total charge is zero. Now you get a doubt, which body attains positive charge and which body gets negative charge. Now for this, there is a parameter. There is a physical quantity which determines which body loses and which body gains. It's termed as work function. Work function. What is work function? It is the amount of work done to remove free electrons from the surface of the substance, surface of the body. So the amount of work done that is required to remove the electrons. So work function, if the body, let's suppose if I consider two bodies A and B, work function of A is WA, work function of B is WB. Let's say work function of A is less than work function of B. So work function of A is less. So work done to remove electrons from A is less. So easily you can remove electrons. So A easily loses electrons. Hence it loses electrons, it attains positive charge. B relatively it needs more work to be done. Hence it instead of losing gains electrons. So electrons are gained, hence negative charge. So therefore work function determines which nature of charge is obtained. There is another parameter called electron affinity. Even electron affinity determines the nature of the charge. A substance with more electron affinity gets negative charge. A substance with less electron affinity gets positive charge. So therefore electron affinity also determines the nature of the charge that is being obtained on it. Right? So by these two parameters you can make out which will get positive and which will get negative. And in this process, both attain charge, equal and opposite charge. Let's suppose there are two bodies. Let us take up the analytical part of it. There are two bodies. If n electrons migrate from body A to body B, n electrons are transferred from body A to B, then charge on A is losing electrons, loss of electrons, negative charge is lost. So it is dominant in positive, so it attains plus Ne charge. Now B gains n electrons, and B is having more number of electrons. It is now dominant in electrons, negative. So QB is minus Ne. So therefore the amount of charge obtained by them, if n electrons migrate from A to B, A gets positive charge plus Ne, B gets negative charge minus Ne. Equivalent. Again, adding both, the total charge is zero. Charge is conserved. We started with no charge initially, and finally the total charge is equal to zero. Charge is conserved. Right? So this is the process by which, and one more point. In this process, along with electrons, when electrons are migrated, even mass is also transferred. A is losing electrons, so A loses some mass in the form of electrons. Electrons have mass, so mass is lost. So the body which loses electrons loses mass, so mass of A decreases. The body that gains electrons gains mass, its mass increases. So on this there was a beautiful question asked earlier in one of the entrance examination. If any body is negatively charged, then it gains mass, right? If a body attains positive charge, its mass dash. If it attains positive charge, so you have to understand it is attaining positive charge in the sense it is losing electrons. It is losing electrons in the sense it's losing mass, so its mass decreases. So charging by friction, you can produce charge in this process. You can produce charge on any body. You can charge an insulator by this process. Even the insulator can be charged. A glass rod rubbed with silk cloth, the glass attains positive charge. A glass rod rubbed like this, it attains positive charge. So this way, different substances will attain charge. On this one, a ebonite rod rubbed with wool cloth, it attains negative charge. A plastic rod rubbed with wool, it attains positive charge. So this way there are different methods. On this one, based on this, I will give you a simple trick. Now how to make out which substance will attain positive charge, which substance will attain negative charge. On this, if any question is asked, in our textbook many of the things will be explained, like a glass rod is rubbed with silk cloth or wool cloth, or ebonite with silk or cloth or cat fur, something like this. So whenever such substances are given, you please make out the substances. Of these two, you look at the first letter. If the first letter falls in the series of alphabets, if it comes first, then it attains positive charge. If the first letter of that substance falls later in the series of alphabets, then it attains negative charge. Usually, many a time, not always. In many of the cases, the substance whose first letter falls first in the alphabet series, will always attain positive charge. The substance with first letter falling later in that series will attain negative charge, except for two, ebonite and polythene. Ebonite falls in the series, but it gets negative. Polythene, it falls later, but it still gets positive, right? So this way you have to make out. So this way, charging by friction, this is the first process of producing charge on a body. Now the second method of producing charge on a body is charging by conduction. Charging by conduction. Now in this method, how do you produce charge? Now for this, you should possess a charged body. So you can produce charge on a body using an already existing charge. So there is an already existing charged body. Using this, you can give charge to another. So what you do is, you share some of this charge to another body. In this process, you share the charge. So for this, you should possess a already charged body in this one, right? Then you can give. Let's suppose there is another body to whom you want to give charge, right? This is a charge. One more thing. To whatever substance you want to give the charge, that substance must be a good conductor. To a conducting substance, you can easily share the charge. If it is an insulator, I was telling you, insulator possesses very meager number of electrons, it cannot attain that charge. So if it is a conductor, good conductor, it attains charge. So what you do? Consider a charged body already having some charge. Let's say the already existing charge is Q naught. Now the body on which you want to produce charge, now put them in contact. There are two ways of contact: direct contact, indirect contact. What do you mean direct contact? Put them directly in contact, touch them one another. Then direct contact, charge migrates. Or you can even connect them by a conducting wire, copper wire, connecting them by a conducting copper wire. This is called indirect contact. Now then what happens? Charge migrates, charge moves. Don't mistake in that. Positive charge will not go from here to there. I was telling you, charging takes place only by means of transfer of electrons. So what it does is, it will withdraw some of the electrons. That is why I was telling you this should be a good conductor. So it should possess many number of electrons. So this body will withdraw some of the electrons from there, withdraw some electrons from there to here. So electrons will move from here to here. Electrons. So this will lose electrons, so it attains positive charge. Now electron, this will gain electrons, negative charge, so its positive charge will be reduced by a little, its charge is decreased. So this will attain a bit positive charge and it will lose some positive charge. So therefore, now the charge is shared. Let's suppose the charge obtained by this body, second body is Q, then this will attain a charge Q minus Q. Again, please consider the net charge finally, Q naught minus Q plus Q, the total charge is Q naught. We started the experiment with Q naught and final charge is also Q naught. Again, the charge is conserved. Again, the charge is conserved. In any such equation, in any such process, charge will be conserved. So, in this process of conduction, you consider a charged body, already existing charge, then consider another body on whom you want to produce charge. It should be a conductor. Mind that it should be a conductor. Then put them in contact, direct or indirect contact. Then charge will be shared. Now, how does this happen? I'll tell you a good example. Consider a water tank filled with water to a certain level. Just beside that, on the same level, consider another empty tank, right? An empty tank with no water. Now join them. Let the lower ends be connected by a pipe. Now you all know, water will move from one container to another container until their levels are equal. The same principle is involved in this one. This behaves like a tank with water. It is a container, it's a container with charge. And this is a tank without water, container with no charge. I am connecting them. Then as water flows from higher level to low level, charge flows from high potential to low potential. Water flows from higher level to low level until their potentials are equal, until their levels are equal. Here charge flows from high potential to low potential until their potentials are equal. So charge flows until the potential is equal. So charge is shared. This is the reason in earlier times people assumed that charge may be an invisible form of fluid. It may be existing inside matter in the form of invisible form of fluid, right? As water flows from one container to another, charge is also flowing. Maybe it is an invisible fluid. So that way they thought. But later this theory failed because it could not explain some of the practical experiments of charge. So that is the other part. Now coming back here. So charge is shared. Now how charge is shared? In nature, anything will flow from high potential to low potential. Whenever there is a connection, it will flow from high potential to low potential. Charge at high potential. So we have considered a positive charge, already existing charge. Its potential is more. This was a neutral body. Its potential is less. So when I connect them, charge flows from high potential to low potential until their potentials are equal. So until the potential become equal, charge is shared. Right? So this way charge will be, the total charge is again conserved. Now let us understand how much charge is shared, how the charge is shared. Now for this, let me give you a simple example. Suppose consider a spherical charged conductor. There is a charge, already existing charge. Let there be a already existing charge Q. Now let us consider an identical sphere, conducting sphere, uncharged identical conducting sphere with no charge, right? Neutral. Now both are of same size, identical, both are of same size. Now connect them, join them. So charge migrates from here to there. Since both are of same size, charge is equally shared between them. So there is a tank filled with water completely. There is another empty tank, identical empty tank. When both are connected, water flows from this tank to another tank until the levels are equal. Since both the tanks are identical, they share water equally. The amount of water in this is same as the amount of water in that. Similarly, these two, right, also share the charge equally. So the total charge Q is shared. Finally, this will get Q by 2 and this will also get Q by 2. Charge is shared equally between these both, Q by 2 and Q by 2. Even this also attains charge. So in this process, in the process of conduction, when one body charged body of charge Q is connected, it is put in contact with another identical uncharged sphere, then charge is equally shared, Q by 2 and Q by 2 equally. So final, again the net charge Q by 2 plus Q by 2 is Q. Charge is conserved. Charge is conserved. So based on this one, there was a beautiful question asked in one of the entrance examination like this. Please look, please think upon. A charged sphere Q, it is put in contact with n such identical uncharged spheres, one after the other. So one charge, this was a charge actually, this is a charged sphere. It is put in contact with n such identical spheres, one after the other. Then what is the final charge that remains on the first one? The initial final charge that remains on the initial after n such contacts. A very beautiful question that was asked in one of the initial entrance examination. Please think about, that's a good question. After n such contacts, how much charge will remain on this? First, let's suppose this is A, this is B, this is C, like this. So first A is put in contact, then later it is isolated, separated, then B is put in contact, separated, C is put in contact to the same first one. If n such spheres are put in contact, what would be the final charge that remains on the earlier one? Very beautiful question. Please think about. Next, let us come to the analytical part of this process of conduction. Right? Mathematically, let us analyze how charging by conduction take place. Right? Now, consider a charged sphere. This is a charged sphere. Let the charge of this be Q0 and its radius is R1. Now consider another conducting neutral uncharged sphere. Let its radius be R2. So this is the one already possessed charge. I want to transfer charge to this body. This is an uncharged one. Now both are put in contact. Then the total charge Q0, that was initially existing is shared between them. So charge flows from high potential to low potential until their potentials are equal. So until their potentials become equal, some of the charge will migrate. Actually electrons will go from here to there. So this will lose some charge and that will gain charge. Finally, let the final charges possessed by them, let the final charges be Q1 and Q2. Then let us calculate what is Q1 and what is Q2. So I was telling you, charge will be shared between them until their potentials are equal. You know, potential V is a parameter which depends on charge and inversely proportional to size. V proportional to Q by R. V is equal to KQ by R actually. Right? So this potential, after charge being shared, potential of the first one is Q1 by R1. Potential of the second one is KQ2 by R2. So I said charge is shared between them until their potentials are equal. So V1 is equal to V2. So the charge is shared between them until, so V1 is Q1 by R1. V2 is Q2 by R2. So therefore take R1 up. Q1 by Q2 is equal to R1 by R2. This way. So the charge is shared between two spheres based on their size, radius. The ratio of the charges obtained by them is equal to the ratio of their radii. Q1 by Q2 is R1 by R2. Charge directly proportional to radius. Bigger charge, bigger in size gets more charge. The other one smaller in size gets less charge. That is the reason I was telling you just now. I was to explain two charged spheres of same size, identical spheres. When both are identical, both have same charge, same size, same radius. Now when the radius is same, R1 is equal to R2. So therefore Q1 by Q2 is equal to 1:1. That is the reason why I was telling you they will share the charge equally. So Q1 is equal to Q2. Q1 is equal to Q2. So the total charge was Q0. But suppose if the charge obtained by this one is Q1 and this is Q2, according to law of conservation of charge, total initial charge is total final charge. Q0 is equal to Q1 plus Q2. But Q1 and Q2 both are equal. Let's say small q, substitute this in 1. So Q0 is Q1, that is small q, plus Q2, that is also even small q. So Q0 is 2 small q is Q0 by 2. So I was telling you they share charge equally. Half the charge is remaining on this and half the charge is shared by that. Q by 2 and Q by 2. Right? So therefore, if the sizes are equal, they share the charge equally. But if the sizes are different radius, Q1 by Q2 is R1 by R2. The charge obtained depends on the size. The ratio of the charge is equal to the ratio of their radii. Now let us do some mathematics and obtain the charge like this on this. Now, so we got Q1 plus Q2 is equal to R1 plus R2. Let's do some mathematics. Add 1 on both sides. Adding 1 on both sides. So therefore you get Q1 plus Q2 by Q2 is equal to R1 plus R2 by R2. Let's reciprocate. When you reciprocate, inverse, you Q2 by Q1 plus Q2 is R2 by R1 plus R2. But you know, according to law of conservation of charge, we started with an initial charge Q0. This obtained a charge Q1 and this obtained a charge Q2. The final total charge is Q1 plus Q2. According to law of conservation of charge, initial charge is final charge. Q1 plus Q2. So therefore, substituting here, it's Q2 by Q0 is equal to R2 by R1 plus R2. So therefore, substituting, cross multiplying the thing, cross multiplying like this, you get Q2 is equal to Q0 times R2 by R1 plus R2. Doing the same mathematics with the other way, you reciprocate this. Take Q2 by Q1 is R2 by R1. Add 1 on both sides. Do the same mathematics. Then you will get Q1 is equal to Q0 of R1 by R1 plus R2. Very important things. You know, many of the national entrance examination, many problems were given based on this formula. It's an important formula. Please make a note of it. So, when two spheres of radius R1 and R2 share a charge capital Q0, right? Then both are connected by a wire. Then the charges on them Q1 and Q2. So Q1 is given as Q0 of R1 by R1 plus R2. Q2 is Q0 of R1 by R1 plus R2. Now in this one, let R1 is equal to R2 is equal to R. Substituting. So Q1 is Q0 of same radius. If they are of same size, then Q0 of R by R plus R, that is 2R. So answer is Q0 by 2. Similarly, Q2 is also Q0 by 2. So they share the charge equally. Charge is shared. Same size. If both are of same size, charge is shared equally. If both are of different size, charge is shared according to their size. So here please note, bigger in size, more charge. Smaller in size, less charge. A sphere with more radius gets more charge. Less radius gets less charge. So that way, charge is shared between them, and finally we get the thing there. Now this is for different radius, this is for same radius. Now based on this, there was a question given earlier in one of the entrance examination, right? Two spheres of radii 10 centimeter, 30 centimeter possess charge 10 microcoulomb, minus 30 microcoulomb. And both are put in contact and separated. So both are put in contact and separated. Then what are the final charges on them? Q1 and Q2. Now do this problem based on this. There are two spheres. He has given radius. R1 is 10, R2 is 20, R2 is 30. Initially both are possessing charge. There is both are having charge. First one is 10 microcoulomb, second one minus 30 microcoulomb. So the total initial charge Q1 plus Q2, additive, charge is additive. So total initial charge you take, that is Q0. Then Q1 and Q2, substitute in this formulas, get it, right? So that way, so this is the second process of charging by conduction, okay? So the remaining we will take in the next episode. Thank you.